Many times I get asked, come on, Brian, what's the bottom line? And I have to tell them it's very simple. So, this presentation is basically going through everything you need to know about the bottom line. So, in my fire station, it might be similar to yours, we have so many forms we lost track. At my last count, we had 32 different forms, going from truck checks to SCBA to repair forms, for maintenance on our ropes. It just went on and on and on. These forms were starting to get so outdated that we no longer had an electronic form. We were making copies of copies of copies. So some of the things that we did at Fire Station Checklist is we came about with these basic 4 improvements over the paper or Microsoft Excel solution. The first one is we put all the forms in the hand of each employee via smartphone or tablet. And although every station's different, we do have station tablets that anyone can use, but many times employees might just want to use their own smartphone to make entries for various forms that they can use. This really makes it easier for the employee or anyone to put in any information when they need to put it in. The second thing we did was automate the workflow. So just by building a form is one thing, but automation in the back end is critical. So every time a particular form is filled out, it has workflow attached to it, which means it's going to do something. And the great thing about Fire Station Checklist is we customize that workflow. So you may have gear that is under the responsibility of a particular officer. Well, that officer may want it via email in a PDF format, or they may want it posted somewhere, or they may want it in an Excel format. Whatever that officer or that individual wants, they can have. And it's not relegated to one workflow. Some forms are very important. You want to go to a distribution list, and you also want it to be tracked on a website. And also, I want it also to do etc., etc., etc. So we can build any workflow individually or globally on your forms. The third point is we store all forms in a trackable way to ensure they never lose the data. So even though we have workflow going to various areas, you can still go to the portal and pull new data. Maybe pull information on what happened last month, or what happened to that truck, or what happened to that SCBA. So it's very easy to search out your forms. The fourth thing is things that we've learned with our customers over time, and that's the ability to see data that we didn't see before. So as you're filling out these forms day after day, possibly year after year, you may start seeing some trends in some of the data. For example, on our rig checks, every time we put fuel in our apparatus, we log how many gallons we put in. But on that same form, we're also tracking the mileage. So with essentially 3 or 4 clicks, I can figure out the trending of the miles per gallon, miles or gallons per hour on our diesels, to see if we're having any issues. That was one we expected to find. What we did not expect to find was that we were always putting in 2 quarts on average per week in one of our apparatus. It was significantly burning oil. But it's one thing to anecdotally say, oh yeah, I think it's just burning oil. It's another thing to show in a track record to our vendor, to the mechanics, and to our warranty vendor, that we are in fact showing a track record of putting 2 quarts a week into this apparatus. So the bottom line is, what's it going to cost me, right? And that's a fair question. So the first thing is the application is actually free. So you can load it on as many devices as you want. It works on Android phones, Apple phones, and their counterparts in tablet form. The Apple iPad seems to work very well for a lot of people, but Android tablets are just as pervasive. The use of the application and all the things that go into it is essentially $100 per month. That gives you the cloud services, the security, and the front end of the application to build and manage forms. Now, all these things I talked about are in the cloud, so there's no equipment to buy. No monthly contract. You can quit anytime. So we want you to be happy, and we don't want you to be stuck with something that isn't working for you. What are the savings? Well, I can tell you that from my department and the customers I've spoken to, there's no waiting a line to enter data into a spreadsheet or take forms that go through the mail and then eventually enter in electronically. That's instant. The second bullet talks about accuracy. It's done right away. It's done on a smartphone, so numbers can be copied directly from that whatever you're documenting directly onto the tablet or smartphone. So it reduces the middleman of writing it down on a piece of paper, then that paper moving to someone else, and then someone else to enter it electronically. And with this, there isn't any paper. You're not sending any updates to anyone. It's automatic. Automatic being when you change something in a form, as soon as a user opens that form, all of their forms get re-downloaded so that they get the latest and greatest. Within 30 seconds, they will have the updated form. So the version control is handled for you. Now, I love what Bill Gates said, and it's crazy that he said it, but what I love is he talks about technology in business, and he says the first rule of any technology used in a business, that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify that efficiency, but if you automate something that's not working, it will magnify that inefficiency. So when you demo any form vendor or any checklist or any IT vendor, please keep this in mind, because FireStation Checklist keeps this in mind every day. We don't want to automate something that isn't working. We want to automate things that are.